Designing the ARK, Ecological Architecture for a Planet in Peril by Azlan Adnan, MA. In the twilight of the Anthropocene, we find ourselves surrounded by architecture that has forgotten how to care. Towers rise, cities sprawl, and icons glitter on skylines, yet the planet suffocates beneath our brilliance. Too often, we build not for life, but for spectacle. We pave the earth not to shelter the living, but to stage the illusion of progress. And all the while, our buildings contribute over a third of global carbon emissions, fragment ecosystems, erode social cohesion, and estrange us from the very places we call home. This is not the future we were promised, nor is it one we need accept. The challenge before us is no longer simply to build better buildings, but to reimagine architecture as an act of planetary stewardship, to design not monuments to ego, but lifeboats for life. As Malaysian ecological architect Ken Yeang once wrote, we must think of architecture as an ARK, not the stuff of myth, but a living imperative. Shelter for biodiversity, vessel for civilization, sanctuary for the spirit of place. But before we build the ARK, we must ask, what makes a place worth saving? What makes a building loved? The soul of shelter, belonging, place, and the human psyche. Philosopher Edward Casey reminds us that place is not a point on a map, but a lived experience. We do not merely occupy buildings, we inhabit them. We remember them with our bodies. The office where we launched a career, the house where a child first walked, the masjid with sunlit courtyards, the warung where stories were traded. These are not just architectural containers, but carriers of meaning, and meaning ultimately is what we long for. Yet modern urbanism, in its rush to globalize, digitize, and economize, has hollowed out the emotional resonance of architecture. Too many buildings are conceived as products, not places. They are efficient but anonymous, dazzling but empty. They do not invite us to belong. They process us. We forget, as Aldo van Eyck said, that the threshold is not where something ends, but where something begins. We must return to architecture that begins with the human need for rootedness. Spaces must be designed not merely to impress from afar, but to welcome from within. And that means embracing what some consider unfashionable: comfort, convenience, habitability, ease. A building becomes beloved not because it is admired, but because it works. It is easy to enter, to park, to find what one needs. It is fit for purpose, and therein lies the deepest beauty. Form follows function. Utilitarianism and the ethics of usefulness. At the heart of good architecture lies a simple ethic. Form must follow function. This principle, often repeated yet widely neglected, is grounded not in aesthetic reductionism, but in moral clarity. In an age of climate collapse and resource exhaustion, every design decision must be justified by its usefulness, not just to the client, but to community, ecology, and future generations. Utilitarianism, in its best sense, is a philosophy of compassion. It asks us to maximize benefit, minimize harm, and create joy through practical means. That may not sound romantic, but it is deeply humane. A building that gathers people, cools passively, harvests rain, invites wildlife, and enables meaningful work. This is a building worth loving. Not because it shouts, but because it serves. Buildings that do the job, well, sustainably, and with care and compassion. We must challenge the cult of the iconic building, the vanity projects that drain budgets, generate Instagram likes, but do little for the planet or for the people who actually use them. Starchitecture, as it is derisively called, too often becomes a form of architectural narcissism. Instead, we should celebrate the quietly radical buildings that do the job, well, sustainably, and with care and compassion. The ecological imperative, architecture in the age of extinction. Architecture is no longer a neutral profession. It is entangled in the fate of the earth. The built environment accounts for 39% of global carbon emissions, consumes half the world's raw materials, and devastates biodiversity through deforestation, land use change, and urban sprawl. Every concrete pour, every glass facade, every air-conditioned mall must now be accounted for, because the planet is running out of time. Design, therefore, must be ecological or it is obsolete. This is not ideology. It is physics, biology, and atmospheric chemistry. Ecological design is an existentialist imperative. To build the ARK is to integrate architecture into living systems, to align buildings with bioclimatic principles, to regenerate local ecosystems, to design not against nature but within it. This is architecture as reparation, a healing act, a reconnection with what we have displaced. Heimat, designing for belonging. And here we return to Heimat, a concept that evokes a sense of home, of rooted belonging in both place and community. Heimat is not nostalgic nationalism. It is the feeling of being known by the land and known to it. It is the deep sense that one belongs not just to a structure, but to a culture, a climate, a memoryscape. Architecture that allows Heimat to flourish is not generic. It is vernacular, seasonal, adaptive. It honors the language of materials, the rhythm of weather, and the memory of what came before. It is humble, often small, and always rooted. Heimat-friendly architecture does not erase place. It reveals it. A kampung house raised on stilts, breathable and welcoming. A market shaded by reclaimed timber. A community hall that reuses rainwater and echoes the forms of the forest. These are not monuments. They are vessels of continuity. And continuity, in a fractured world, is radical. Global glimmers. Architects building the ARK. Across the globe, bold architects are already crafting this ARK. From Burkina Faso to Beijing, Penang to Patagonia, the green design revolution is quietly blooming. Ken Yeang, Malaysia, integrates buildings with the biosphere, spiraling green towers, passive cooling, and vertical biodiversity corridors. France's Burkina Faso uses earth, light, and local labor to construct schools that uplift communities and cool naturally. And it builds in mud and bamboo, not as primitive, but as profoundly modern gestures of ecological care. Glenn Murcutt, Australia, urges us to design buildings that touch the earth lightly, respecting land, water, and wind. Wang Shu and Luin, China, reconstruct urban futures from the past, using salvaged bricks and poetic restraint. Tatiana Bilbao, Mexico, crafts modular homes that are affordable, beautiful, and sensitive to both sight and soul. These architects do not reinvent the wheel. They return to it, refine it, and roll it forward. Their work is not experimental indulgence, but replicable wisdom. Marketing the ARK, helping architects persuade. But ecological design must also survive the boardroom. Too many clients remain skeptical, viewing green architecture as fashionable indulgence, a ploy to inflate fees or complexity. They ask, why spend more? Why change what already works? We must flip the script. Sustainable buildings save money in the long run. They cost less to operate, they are more resilient to climate shocks, they attract tenants, and they often qualify for green incentives or tax rebates. But more than that, they create value. Healthier indoor air, better acoustics, lower maintenance, increased employee satisfaction, and a moral brand story. Architects must learn to speak not just the language of design, but of return on investment, durability, and social impact. They must market their ethics, not just their aesthetics. Clients aren't just buying a building, they are shaping the future. Help them shape wisely. The role of local government and policy. Governments, too, have a critical role to play. Planning laws must stop prioritizing short-term profit over long-term resilience. Zoning must shift to reward mixed-use, walkable, rewilded spaces. Building codes should incentivize green materials, decentralized energy, and climate adaptation. Grants and subsidies can help level the playing field for developers and clients who choose the sustainable path. Without this scaffolding, even the best designs remain unbuilt. The way forward. Building the ARK together. The ARK is not a singular building. It is a philosophy, a movement, a collaboration. We already have the knowledge. We already have the materials. We already have the technology. What we lack and must now urgently find is the will, a collective will. One that unites architects, clients, policymakers, educators, and citizens in a shared purpose to redesign the world not for domination, but for care. If we all play our part, the task will no longer be daunting. As the old proverb goes, many hands make light work. And so let us build together. Not a fortress, not a temple to vanity, but an ARK, a place of refuge, a place of belonging, a place where all life can flourish before the waters rise. References with Casey, Edward S. Getting Back into Place, Toward a Renewed Understanding of the Place World. Bloomington, Indiana University Press, 2009. Date of Places of the Soul, Architecture and Environmental Design as a Healing Art. Oxford, Architectural Press, 2002. Hall, Stephen. Questions of Perception, Phenomenology of Architecture. William Stout Publishers, 2007. Kellert, Stephen R., Judith Heerwagen, and Martin Mador, eds. Biophilic Design, The Theory, Science, and Practice of Bringing Buildings to Life. Hoboken, Wiley, 2008. McHarg, Ian. Design with Nature. Garden City, NY. Doubleday, Natural History Press, 1969. Norberg-Schulz, Christian. Genius Loci, Towards a Phenomenology of Architecture. London, Academy Editions, 1980. Palasma Yuhani, The Eyes of the Skin, Architecture and the Senses. Chichester, Wiley, 2005. Rappaport Amos, Houseform and Culture. Inglewood Cliffs, NJ, Prentice Hall, 1969. Roz Pegg, Irigere for Architects. London, Routledge, 2007. Silangaros Nikos A Theory of Architecture. Umbau Verlag, 2006. Sternberg, Esther M. Healing Spaces, The Science of Place and Well-Being. Cambridge MA, Belknap Press, 2009. Vander Ryn, Sim and Stuart Cowan. Ecological Design. Washington, D.C., Island Press, 1996. Yang, Eco-Design, A Manual for Ecological Design. London, Wiley Academy, 2006. Yang Ken, On Ecological Design. London, The Lighthouse, 2000. A Heartfelt Light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again. Its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.